Funding for the interview show is provided by Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Lifeway Foods, makers of Lifeway Kefir. Visit lifewayfoods.com to learn more about Lifeway's complete line of probiotic products, including new non-dairy Plentiful and Farmer cheese. Lifeway, love your guts.
This is the story of Trader Todd's, written by me. It gives me a great sense of pride to be able to provide an opportunity for young people sustaining their families. We've always thought of it as a place where we can shape our own destiny.
Everybody has a story. Byline Bank helps you write yours.
Abby McEnany is a longtime performer in Chicago's improv comedy scene. She's also the writer and co-creator and star of a brand new show on Showtime called Work in Progress. Please welcome Abby McEnany. What's up?
Hey, dude.
Don't make me sweat. Don't make me sweat.
Dude, classic. Adam told me about the hot toddy. I have a dry throat.
Really?
Yeah, it's gonna get less interesting from here.
Yeah,
so buckle
dry
up.
throat. How did that happen?
I mean, honestly, Mark, let's talk about science.
Yeah.
You know what really kind of hurts my feelings is
What?
that the last time I was on here, again, had known you for 20 years, I was finally invited.
Yeah.
Because something good happened in my career, but like nothing else matters to this
Abby,
Bazer.
you know what? You know what, Abby? You know what? You know what hurts my feelings?
What?
I prepare questions.
Oh, I know, I'm such a horrible person, I know.
No, you're not. You're not.
But then I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm ready for you, Mark.
Yeah. So I honestly, until they told me today, didn't know you had a TV show. So here's what I did know. What I knew is this. I heard you had been working on a show. I then heard that you had made a pilot. Then I heard it went to Sundance.
And then I got an invitation
Then I
for
heard,
his show.
no, hold on.
In January, no big deal.
Then I heard one of the Wachowskis was interested.
Yes.
Then I heard that it was on Showtime. Then I heard it was going to be on Showtime in December. I'm just sitting at my desk the entire time.
I mean, honestly,
I've been
I
here
know.
the entire time.
I know.
So it all seemed to happen very quickly to
Yeah,
me.
dude.
But to you, it didn't. It couldn't have happened quickly, right? There was a long. Take me through the process.
You know what? I will.
Thank you a lot. Have some hot toddy. I heard you had a dry throat.
I mean, seriously, I did have eyes. You guys, holy smokes.
There you go. Thank you.
Window to the world, classic.
That's amazing. We've done this show on TTW for 5 years. Nobody has ever said window to the world.
I mean, honestly, I troll around wherever the cameras are. They never ask me to go, hi, Chicago, it's Abby McEnany. I'm window to the world.
Let's do it right now. Right into that camera.
Hi, Chicago, I'm Abby. It's window to the world. It's never going to make it.
That's totally it. In fact, we're going to edit it just
I
onto
was going to
that.
say, Abby, cutting room floor McEnany, coming at you full force.
Come on,
What was the question?
I don't know. You made a show?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, I have to say, okay, so I'm like improvising and doing this stuff for a really long time. And then my creative partner, Tim Mason, and I have been working on this probably since 2016, which is 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm no mathematician, but I'll stand by that. And then, dude, I gotta say, we made the pilot. We started filming the pilot June 30th of 2018, and now on December, and then we couldn't believe we got into Sundance and we went, and holy crap.
Yeah.
I mean, so honestly, it has been somebody was like, oh, it's like you're an overnight sensation. I'm like, yeah, it's a long night, and and not quite sensational. But listen, shut up, Abby, I can't.
The show. How about this?
Are you so angry
No,
with me right
I
now?
love you.
No.
You ask the questions and then you answer them.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
All right. The show, Work in Progress.
Yes.
It's about somebody very much like you.
Yes.
The one question you're told when you go to interviewer's school, not to ask. Yep, there is. That's right.
Oh my gosh, oh thank God it wasn't interviewee school because I missed that boat. Continue.
You don't ask, is what you just made about yourself? And yet the character in your show is named Abby.
Right.
And she is you.
A failure, yeah.
Right. No.
Look, if
You
I
made
can
me-
say it, you can too.
Right. No, I won't
I'm
say
not
it.
like trapping you this time.
Let me ask you this: Is I was thinking about this for my own self. I was thinking about, is self-mockery a good thing, a bad thing, or it's the only thing?
Okay, that is a really good question. So, despite that first one, you still get an A+.
Thank you.
I would say I've got it. I think growing up and still being alive and being so depressed and like self-loathing and insecure, like self-mockery is like, I mean, it's a fat kid's way to survive school, right? I mean, I think it's what has been part of my life and my comedy and my survival, I think, for a very long time. However, you know, when Nanette came out with Hannah Gadsby's brilliant piece on Netflix, and I the first night it came, I mean, I was getting all these texts like, you have to watch it, and she has this beautiful thing about she refuses to be self-deprecating anymore because it just gives everybody who sees her as an other and people who see me as an other, anybody who's an other, like, it gives them peace, right? It gives them time to be like, yeah, you are fat, you are a failure, you are whatever. So I think it's not a great thing. I'm not proud of it. I think but it's just where I am right now. And I would say there are a lot of things I'd like to become and be better at. And one is to have less shame. But honestly, who knows how long this old is going to survive? It won't happen. But like, I don't know.
I mean,
you know?
look, I feel
I'm a tickle.
that for a long time, and still, self-deprecation was the thing that I would do. And I felt, especially during high school, but still into adulthood, that I would often get upset then when I felt that people, and maybe I had too sharp of a radar for it, were somehow being condescending to me or making fun of me in some way.
Wait, after you were self-deprecating?
Because I was a self-deprecating person,
Well-
I thought that in some ways gave people license to, or maybe that was just me reading onto them something that they weren't actually doing. And then I think, stop it, like you were saying.
Right.
Stop being self-deprecating. On the other hand, I'm not gonna make fun of other people. I don't wanna make...
I know. I mean, that only happens in the green room at I.O. with my girls.
Well, that's right, giving your friends different than...
Or also, I don't, you know, it is so hard because, look, I don't think, well, honestly, you think about things way more than I do. And
that's not true.
no, it is, and I stand by it. But
Stop
I'm sitting,
being
so it might not mean anything. You know, I even had this thing like the only thing growing up that a fat kid wants is a fatter kid in their class. Like, honestly, like every time I started new schools a lot, and I was like, God, let there be a fatter kid in my class, because then life's a little better for you, not for the fatter person. But like, stick with me or don't. Honestly, the boat has sailed. But even saying that out loud, like that is gonna hurt the fattest kid in the class. I don't know.
Right. Well, you can drive yourself crazy.
Yes, I'm very good at it. It's on my resume.
Well, most people now say, like, storyteller. You say, you know, that
Failure.
Storyteller.
Oh yeah, she's a storyteller.
Can I tell you one of the things I've watched?
Honestly, I'd love
two
it.
of the episodes.
Yes, you
Not
have, yes.
color corrected, so I don't.
Oh,
yeah.
That's gonna change. That's gonna change
Yeah.
your whole feeling. Yeah, you have. That's right. Yes, you.
Can I tell you one of the things that I really liked about it?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes. Will you accept this? All right. So
I don't know if I'll accept it, but I'd like to hear.
I like the way it deals with subjects of time. And so, in other words, there's a lot of flashbacks to the old Abbey, the Abbey in 90s Chicago. There's also in the first episode, the pilot episode, you meet a young trans man who's 22 years old, and you also have in the episode Julia Sweeney, and one of your nightmares back in the 90s or whenever it was Pat, for obvious reasons, and the trans man doesn't know who Pat is, doesn't know Pat from SNL.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then later, and I guess it's the second episode, you go he takes you to a club, which
Yes.
describe the club.
Well, when we were writing it, so a lot of it is about, like what it was like when I came out, which was a very white and cis coming out experience here. Like, it was lovely. It was a great community. But when I looked around, when I look back, it was like almost like 99% white and like all cis. And then when you look, I think it's so beautiful when you see queers coming out now, especially like in Chicago or places where they're actually, people can feel, I'll say safe here because like life is hard and the world sucks and God bless, let's be safe and take care of each other. But I would say like looking at the folks coming out now, I call it a queer wonderland. Like I think it's beautiful. Like every gender representation, every sexuality representation. It seems like every race, every kind of identity, every like religion, ability, like class, education, whatever. I just think it's so more inclusive now that you learn so much from that.
And so the club that you go, and this is where
Yes.
I think my point will come in.
You guys, I was listening.
You go to this club,
yes.
and it's a crazy club.
Right.
And you
Well,
think
crazy how?
Well, it's not.
It's not what I'm used to.
It's
And I
not-
would also,
right.
I would also add that my brother-in-law, hey, what up, Pete? Like I grew up I'm very puritanical about sex, and I'm very ashamed of it. And I think that I come by that honestly. And I think that there's a way, like, I say that because what up, Dad? But I would say like,
Window to the world.
oh my God, what in the world? What's up? I'm like down, I'm at Navy Pier by the macaroni thing all the time. They won't take me, but I would say, like now, like the way that sexuality and or sex, even sex,
Right.
and like.
So you're
and
right. The
hooking
club
up
is not crazy.
It's not crazy. And
It's crazy.
It's to me, it's like what's going on, and I am again, I'm like, whoa, and I'm fighting this internal thing, being like, wow, this is crazy. It's not crazy. It's people like actually expressing how they feel, and to me, that's like what is happening.
And the time part of it is.
We really like each other. I think maybe I misread
No, we
this.
definitely do.
Jury's out.
The club was where a lesbian club had been
Yes.
in the 90s or early
Yes.
2000s, where you go back, you do have a flashback
Yes.
scene, and there's a scene where there's basically like a Lilith Fair type
Right.
musicians.
We wrote it. I was like, there are going to be two Ernest with the guitar on stage. So they're phenomenal.
And
I
the
interrupted
point,
again.
no, I think you've made the point, which is, despite these younger, older, going back in time, the general, we are so used to in, I think, the current culture saying like, the younger generation doesn't get it, or the older generation doesn't get it. And to me, I left the show, the 2 episodes I've seen so far, thinking, wow, there's real kind of hope that if we have this spirit that you're talking about, that we will get somewhere.
Wow, that's thank you. I hope so. I mean, honestly, like that's lovely. As I melt into the I hope so. I don't know, man. Like sometimes I'm really hopeful, and then sometimes I can't leave the house. You know, like, but you know what I would say, like, and I'm not sure. I often don't understand stuff. So 6 years through UFC, there are a lot of reasons, but I would say that, especially in these times, and I would say social media has a big part of that. And then also like this administration, whatever, like there's so much stuff out there. And I think people are afraid to learn things because there's so much of a cancel culture or whatever. If somebody says something wrong, which I say stuff wrong all the time, and then like you're called out and then you're immediately vilified. And I think the result of that is that there's less freedom, or people are afraid to learn because they're worried they're going to be called out as racist, homophobic, transphobic, sexist, classist, whatever, you know. And so my hope is that this can start conversations. And the thing is that I mess up all the time. And my goal is when people call me on my crap, which I hope they do, is that I take time and like listen to what is said to me and think about it. Like, is this correct or not? And if I think it's not, Like, actually, you know, think, because, like, not all, like, insults are gonna be, or, like, you know, people are not always correct, but, like, learn from it, and then also not be afraid of what other people think. I don't know. To me, that's hope.
That's
like,
there. That's there.
To give time to learn.
Yeah.
And that, like, that we have to start, like, taking time and not thinking the worst of everybody. I'm guilty of it. When I see some crap, I'm like, are you kidding me? But, so as I say it all the time, I'm a hypocrite, like, right? Like, I say I'm a private person, and then we write this show, and it's about my life. Like, what? Way to go! Like, yeah.
Well, I think it's not only everything you just said.
Up.
It is the wrap up.
I know it. Like, he's starting to stand up. Well, you know, I think that. All right.
My next guest
Are these
is.
These are empty, by the way. Well, I do, but I'm not going to take it for your next guest because that'd be rude, but I'll see you in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let you wrap up. Okay.
The show is also funny.
Oh, that's great.
Abby McEnany.
All right.
David Gamble is an artist and a photographer whose work has appeared in the Smithsonian and the National Portrait Gallery in London. He also was the only person asked to take photos of Andy Warhol's private home right after Warhol died. Here is David Gamble. I just wanted to get started with the Warhol story, which is you'd been a photographer, you had taken pictures for some of the top magazines in the world and for other things, but then you get kind of, I don't know if it's the call of a lifetime, but it's something pretty cool where the Warhol's manager says what to you?
Well, I'm in England at the time. This is back in 1987 when I was young, wearing short trousers, running around.
What do you mean by short trousers?
Well,
knickers,
when we're young,
shorts?
we're always given short trousers to wear. Yeah. Short pants.
Short
Isn't that
pants.
America? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Well,
yes.
I'm still not clear. Shorts?
Well,
like shorts, like to here, like tennis shorts?
yeah, but you grow up with sort of flannel.
Yeah.
You know, nobody knows what flannel is
I know.
anymore.
Well, I know what.
It's sort of like when you're a schoolboy, you're always given flannel shorts to wear, and then when you get older,
shorts, yeah.
when you stop getting beaten up by the older kids, you're given longer trousers.
That's the sign of growing up.
Sign
You
of
extend the
survival.
pants.
Yeah, sign of survival is you can wear long trousers.
And that led to you getting hired to do this.
I get hard when I wear long trousers.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Or long pants,
So
yeah.
so Warhol obviously
he
dies in '87.
Yeah, he died quite suddenly in New York City Hospital, going in for a minor operation. Fred Hughes, his manager, had seen a lot of my work in magazines like Connoisseur and Town & Country and Newsweek and Life magazine. So it turns out he was a fan of my work, and he called me up and said, would I come over photograph? And the first thought in my mind was, don't ask me to give up my copyright. Yeah. And so if he said, I want the copyright, I would have said, no, I won't come over then. So he said, no, come over, do whatever you like. You keep the pictures, I want you to take the pictures.
And why did he want them?
Well, because he was worried that just after Andy died, Andy never had a major show, not a major museum show while he was alive.
Really?
So
his reputation had,
so his reputation,
famous.
Yeah, he was famous, and his pictures were being bought and collected by famous people, but no institution at the time ever gave him a show. So the critics came out of the woodwork and they said, Andy's dead. Perhaps Andy was the art. Perhaps how many editions did Andy do? Perhaps it's not going to be worth anything. And Fred was left with the will saying, sell everything and set up a foundation and a museum with the money. And so he had Sotheby's ready to go in April 1988, and he was worried that the Americans were going to lose interest in Andy Warhol. So he looked towards Europe and said, who can I find to get me good publicity
and credibility
in England and Europe? And so I called, the Observer magazine. They gave me 15 pages to do whatever photographs I made at the house.
One thing that's fascinating, and you have to look at the photos, is they range from what you'd expect, the ornate or eccentric, but there's also the completely banal. Like one of your most famous photographs of his place is his medicine cabinet, which, why would you expect him to have weird, famous stuff in his medicine cabinet? No, instead he has lotions and creams like everybody has.
Yeah, the problem is when I was asked about this, go and photograph Andy Warhol's house. I wasn't interested in photographing Andy's house. I was interested in photographing Andy. So, because I was always a people person, I always thought about the human condition and the existence of people within space. So all my photographs always reflected that. So when I was asked to come and photograph Andy Warhol, where am I going to find Andy Warhol when he's dead? Yeah. And so when I walked into his bathroom and I saw that nobody had touched anything in that bathroom because there was nothing of any intrinsic value, I thought, wow, this is a moment where I can actually do a portrait of Andy just photographing his medicine cabinet. So, that's
real quick. I know you
cool.
gotta catch a flight.
Yeah,
there's this cliche that is a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Everybody's heard that. As a photographer, you shot the photos that accompanied profiles. For you, does the photo tell you more than the thousands of words that are spilled telling somebody's story? They go out to a restaurant, they go on a motorcycle trip together, or whatever crazy thing is cooked up for a profile. Is there something in the photo itself that you are like, I can get something out of that person that will tell people more or show people more?
No, not really. No, I don't think that.
Let's do that again. I love you, English. You don't go for the PS.
No, I'm sorry.
It's like, no, I'm taking a photo.
I'm sorry, I'm taking a photograph.
What do you do? When I take a photo, I say cheese. Is your technique different?
Depends what sort of cheese. We're talking about a Canabert or a Brie or...
Yeah, there you go.
Ghost cheese.
Yeah.
No, what I was going to say is that really people get confused about there's no such thing as the ultimate portrait. There's no such thing. All you're doing is creating an image in a time and in a space that's relative to what's in front of your camera to where you are in your own life. And you only recognize, when you photograph anybody, what you recognize in other people is what you end up photographing. So if there's a sense of humor and you have a sense of humor and you connect with that, then that's what you're photographing. So yes, you're introducing something new to the audience, but it's only your own personal opinion and your own personal perspective and what you recognize. It's almost like looking into a mirror in some ways. And what you see in other people, if you see that in yourself, that's what you're photographing.
I love that. David Gamble, everyone. Yeah. Thank you so much. Joe Pug is a singer-songwriter whose music contains great passion and depth. Here he is performing a song off his new album, The Flood in Color.
I woke up after breakfast. I left her bedroom late. The streets were filled with strangers, half expecting a parade. I never saw it coming as the first applause began. Then the blues came down on the heels of a marching band. Silver on my fingers, sugar on my tongue. My father stood behind me and he asked what I'd become. I said, I speak a language that you'll never understand. Then the blues came down on the heels of a marching band. Blues came down, blues came down. They say that truth and justice must be their own reward. I grew rich pretending, while the honest owing poor. Don't you play dumb about it when you're on that witness stand. Why the blues came down on the heels of a marching band. Here the blues came down on the heels of a marching band.
Funding for the interview show is provided by Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Lifeway Foods, makers of Lifeway Kefir. Visit lifewayfoods.com to learn more about Lifeway's complete line of probiotic products, including new non-dairy Plentiful and Farmer cheese. Lifeway, love your guts.
This is the story of Trader Todd's, written by me. It gives me a great sense of pride to be able to provide an opportunity for young people sustaining their families. We've always thought of it as a place where we can shape our own destiny.
Everybody has a story. Byline Bank helps you write yours.